let's say you're shopping at your local market and you pick up some canned fruits and get surprised that the label says it comes from China. Over at the seafood section, you pick up a bag of frozen shrimp, also comes from China. This is just many of the foods imported from China making its way onto our shores and onto our supermarket shelves and onto our dinner plates and then into our stomachs. With all the continuous food scandals that keep happening there,
的确很鲜绿，王先生当场实验，把青豆放进碗里，再泡热开水，搅拌不到1分钟，没想到真的变色了。实验结果很吓人，原本的白开水泡过青豆变成青绿色，颜色非常不自然。
It's best to be aware of where your food is coming from and before you feed it to those you care about. In this video, we will cover common foods that are imported from China that may be sitting on your supermarket shelves near you. Before we get into it, do us a favor and click the like button. This helps drive the algorithm. Also click the subscribe button and make sure to hit on that bell icon in order to be notified of new uploads. Too many of you haven't hit the bell icon yet. Last, share this with someone you care about so they can be aware of what might be at their local supermarkets. Okay, let's get right into it. Number 1. Canned fruits and vegetables. Next time you go to your local market, head on over to the canned food section. It might be surprising for you to see a lot of canned foods that might be imported from China. There are a few well-known American brands that are not getting their canned foods from local sources. The most common canned fruits that are imported are canned peaches, pears, and mandarins. If you see a can that says distributed or packaged in the USA, try to look more closely at the bottom or harder areas to see and might say fruits are from China. Canned vegetables can also be imported from China as well, such as mixed vegetables, carrots, peas, asparagus, and mushrooms. According to this article from Korea Post in March of 2023, China produces up to a quarter of the entire world supply of canned foods.
Information about China's canned food industry shows robust growth in both quantity and market value. In 2022, the country exported 3.1 million tons of canned food, a 12% increase year on year. The market value of China's canned food exports, meanwhile, increased by more than 20% to $6.8 billion US. According to China's customs data, the majority of the country's canned goods are exported to other countries in Asia, as well as to Europe, Africa, and North America.
To put this into context, that is 25 out of every 100 canned foods. For instance, 70% of the global supply of canned asparagus is exported from China. They're also the world leader in canned tomatoes, a very popular ingredient for cooking pasta. The Independent Women's Forum reported in 2023 that China was the third largest supplier of agriculture products to the US, with the majority of it being canned foods. The imported cans are being sold for a lot cheaper price than the domestically sourced cans, which can also negatively affect the local economy. Canned peaches from China have come under scrutiny in the past few years for unsafe levels of lead due to their practices of soldering cans. We covered this extensively in this video, so make sure to watch it on our newly created China Food Scandal playlist. The link will be in the description box. Number 2. Rice noodles. A very important staple in Chinese cooking, and is delicious when it's made with safe ingredients. According to this data from Bolsa.com, the US imports rice noodles from these top 3 countries, and guess which country is on the list? China. Rice noodles from China are no strangers to controversy, as reported by the Taipei Times that factories in China were caught using rotten grain to make rice noodles, using sulfur dioxide to bleach the moldy grain to keep it looking fresh. This is a toxic cancer-causing chemical that is not meant for consumption by any means. Other additives are added to increase the grain from 0.5 kilograms to 1.5 kilograms of noodles to increase quantity and profits. In June of 2014, the Tongcheng rice noodle factory hit the news when pictures that were leaked of workers sticking their bare feet in the noodles and others sleeping on top of a pile of noodles. After seasoning it with their foot fungus and drool from their naps, the workers then packaged the rice noodles to be shipped. More recently reported in the Standard HK, in February of 2022, nearly 1/3 of the pre-packaged rice noodles were discovered to contain carcinogen and organic arsenic, according to the findings of the Consumer Council. We covered toxic rice noodles in depth on this video, so you know the drill. Make sure to watch it to gain valuable information. Number 3. Cabbage. My Americans and South Koreans watching this, pay extra attention. According to data again from Bolsa.com, US imports most of its cabbage from China. Global Times reported that 90% of kimchi that are imported by South Korea are also from China. For those of you who don't know what kimchi is, it's cabbage that is the main ingredient to make kimchi. Now get ready for this. In March of 2021, in this UPI article, A video of a cabbage processing plant in China went viral in South Korea for unsanitary food practices. The video showed workers without proper gear, topless, and walking through the cabbage pool with their shoes on. The Napa cabbage was also floating in what appeared to be dirty cold water.
공장 전체를 상대로 실사를 하려면 중국 정부와의 협의가 필요하다는 지적도 나옵니다.
종사자들에 대한 그 위생 교육을 얼마나 철저히 하고 있는지를 우리가 확인해야 될 필요가 있습니다. 국가 간의 그런 외교적인 문제가
If you thought it wasn't even going to get worse, according to this article by BBC News, Xinhua, a Chinese state news agency, reported that vegetable sellers in China were exposed to have been spraying cabbage with formaldehyde to keep them fresh while being transported. This is a common practice in eastern China, as many farmers are unable to afford refrigerated trucks, and cabbage rots quickly in the heat. Formaldehyde is a cancer-causing compound used for various things, such as embalming and a disinfectant, and needless to say, is extremely toxic to consume. This isn't the first time that formaldehyde was found in foods from China, as we covered in this video. The link is in the description box, so make sure you watch it, as you'll be missing out on a lot of valuable information. Chinese cabbage, anyone? Number 4. Frozen shrimp. Before you have your next shrimp cocktail, you might want to know where your shrimp is being imported from. This article by the seafoodsource.com, published in June of 2023, reports that India, Indonesia, and Ecuador are the top 3 countries on where the U.S. imports their shrimp from.
The Food and Drug Administration polices shrimp imports.
1.5 billion pounds of seafood is imported into the United States every year, and much of it ends up in a cold storage facility in Southern California. But only a tiny fraction of all of that seafood is actually inspected.
India is undisputed with being the first place, and through our own research shopping our local markets, we have seen the most frozen shrimp are from India, Indonesia, and sometimes China.
Antibiotic use is banned on all shrimp.
This one is from India.
But most of our shrimp is imported, largely from Asia.
So I've got some from Vietnam, some from Thailand, some from China.
Uncooked Pacific white shrimp.
Uncooked Pacific white
Deveined.
shrimp from India, deveined.
Then we pack them on ice
And we are good to go.
and ship them off to a special lab at the University of
In May of 2023, according to this article by the ShrimpAlliance.com, the FDA refused 103 seafood line imports into the country, with 3% of them being shrimp imports. The shrimp imports were refused due to banned antibiotics were found to be used in the shipments. The first place of origin was exported from India, where the shrimp contained nitrofurands and veterinary drug residues.
Headed a study of imported shrimp for the June 2015 issue of the influential magazine Consumer Reports.
Of the 205 imported farm samples that we found, 11 of those actually had illegal residues of antibiotics on them. That comes out to about 5% of the imported farm shrimp samples being contaminated with an illegal antibiotic residue. The fact that the FDA only tests about 0.7% of all the shrimp in this country for those antibiotic residues suggests that the agency is not actually testing enough shrimp to catch the amount of illegal residue products that may be coming into the market.
And what happens if we can't use them, if we've sort of run out of antibiotics because everything's resistant?
All of what we consider to be modern medicine becomes incredibly risky.
One contributor to the crisis, overuse of drugs in our food at home and abroad. And when it comes to shrimp farmed overseas, they're often crammed into disease-prone pools. As a result, antibiotics are sometimes added to keep the shrimp alive, contaminating our food. Of the 9 contaminated samples, China accounts for 2, Vietnam and Thailand 1 each, and India 5.
The second exporter company was from China, in which the shrimp was contaminated with veterinary drug residues and unsafe additives.
The FDA warned companies that all shrimp and other seafood from the country should be examined for unapproved drugs. Dr. Mansoor Samad Board tests food for major producers and retailers that want to make doubly sure their food is safe.
Shrimp from China has been under controversy in the past with gel-injected prawns, and where the shrimp were being injected with an unknown gel-like substance to make the shrimp appear larger and heavier to maximize profits. We covered this extensively in this video, so make sure to watch it. The link will be in the description box as always. Turkey stuffings I can do, but gel stuffings in shrimp? I think I will pass.
Problems with ingredients coming from China, cosmetics, toothpaste, and now seafood are really raising a lot of red flags for consumers about whether it's safe to purchase any products coming from China. It's critical that the Chinese government put in place certification programs to show that the products guaranteed by the government are in fact safe for U.S. consumers to buy.
One has to look no further than the data from the USDA, also known as the United States Department of Agriculture, which is a government agency, so this is as credible as it gets. For those of you who might still have doubt for whatever reason, this report was released from the USDA itself back in July of 2009. Now let's break down the key points that the report covers. In 2008, China became the third country in which the US imports fruit from. 41% of the China imports is fish and seafood, mostly farm-raised. Pickle, juices, canned vegetables, and fruits, which we covered earlier, accounts for 25%. China is a major supplier for items such as garlic, apple juice, canned mandarin oranges, shrimp, and fish, which many of these imports are already in our markets. China supplies about 60% of our apple juice, and 10% of our shrimp supply, and 50% of the garlic supply as of 2007. Take note that this was 16 years ago, so it can possibly be even higher now. The report proceeds with the FDA refusals of food imports from China due to filth, toxic additives, and inaccurate labeling were amongst the reasons for refusals. Take the time to read the USDA report over, as it's very informative. That is it for this list. We want to thank you if you stuck around to the end of the video and hope you gained valuable knowledge from this. Always be aware of what you're consuming and allowing into your body. Help us out by giving the video a like, subscribe, and please click the bell icon to notify you of our new video uploads. Share this with someone you care about, and until then, stay informed, and Genius Tomato out.